Hello, listeners. Welcome back to episode 2 of What the Perf podcast. This is your host, Mrinal, along with your co host, Nitesh.
Hello, listeners.
Listeners, as is customary with all new things about performance, like a blog or a podcast or anything, we will try to answer the question what is performance testing in today's episode. But before that, let's hear some industry news from Nitesh.
I have a first news item regarding Tesla. So, its online store shop.tesla.com crashed recently. It's because CEO Elon Musk announced Sunday that the automaker was selling a pair of red shorts on its online store, which led to the item being sold off in minutes and the company's retail website crashing. It did not create much business impact, but if we do not plan for load spikes, our applications are bound to crash.
Oh, I just looked it up on on the internet, and I can see what kind of shorts they are mentioning about.
Right.
See, I think Elon Musk is known to do these kind of things, but that leading to the website crashing is not a new thing. I think this is a you know lack of sync between marketing departments and the technology departments.
Exactly.
Good that it did not cause any major business impact, but if at all they plan to do such marketing campaigns, it's always better that the marketing and technology departments are in sync, so that technology teams are ready to face such high spike in the load.
Right. So similar thing happened at DU website also recently. It crashed during an online mock test for open book examination in the current semester of final year students of undergraduate and postgraduate courses. So after that, many people and students especially took to Twitter complaining about it. This type of traffic, if not planned properly, could adversely affect the ability of students taking the test.
Okay, so another university website crashing. I remember this used to happen when I was in my graduation, but it during those days it was not the website crashing because of students taking online tests. It was because students were checking their results online. I remember very clearly at the end of every semester we would go online to check results, and it was we would go with the expectation that the website will crash. So it is quite known uh, that university websites are quite infamous for crashing under load. I wonder
Exactly.
why.
So we were checking test scores also, right? After our examinations, as well as some competitive examinations also. We used to wait at least 10 minutes or multiple tries to get our test scores.
Yeah, I wonder why they never plan for such outages. Maybe it's the cost, or maybe they don't care much about students' experience of the website.
Maybe, but since COVID times, it is imperative for them to plan as the test also, as well as, I mean, not only the courses, the test also need to be done online. So students are going to be impacted if it is not performing properly as per the expectation. As students require it, it has to be uh, high speed, real time responses from the server to get their answer questions as well as their test pages back.
Exactly, as you mentioned, especially after COVID, it is really, really imperative. Not only universities, for everyone, to
Right.
uh, have.
Even the school boards also, right? CBSE and ICSE should also, instead of canceling the examination altogether, they should move ahead in this direction and try to plan the testing here
Exactly,
online.
but again with proper planning, because as a student an exam is already stressful, and if your website is crashing all the time while taking the test, it'll add to my anxiety, right?
Right. Exactly. So, Mrinal, I have another news item in the uh, tool side. So, BlazeMeter recently released their plugin for auto correlation in JMeter. We have also always missed this thing in JMeter as it is freeware and open source. We wanted that feature also to
Yeah,
work in JMeter. This would really help performance testers like us to create scripts and deliver results faster.
exactly. So the horrors of correlation geometry, I think more than anyone, we know it better because the kind of JSONs we face, we have to correlate in our day-to-day scripting work.
Right.
Really huge. So I think this works, by much like the uh, loadrunner dot corr file, right? You have to predefine your uh, correlation rules, and
Yeah.
you create a file out of that and then import it, and then whenever you record it applies all your correlation rules to the new recording. I
Right, right.
haven't explored it. Did you get a chance to explore, Nitish?
Not yet, Mrunal. It is just recently announced and released. So I'm planning to work on it quite
Hmm.
soon.
Okay, maybe we can share how to use it in a future session.
Right. Sure.
So thanks for the news, Nitish.
Sure,
Uh,
sure. My pleasure.
okay, moving ahead with the main topic for today. So Nitish, what is performance testing?
So, Mrunal, I'm quoting this from a popular tech website. Performance testing is a type of software testing that ensures software applications perform properly under their expected workload. It is a testing technique carried out to determine system performance in terms of sensitivity, reactivity, and stability under a particular workload.
Oh, that's quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's a very formal definition. I think these are the kind of definitions we used to read about, or try to understand when we started out
Right.
in the field of performance testing. So let's try to break it down into smaller bits.
So, first, it talks about that application should perform properly under their expected workload. Now, what is expected workload? Uh, it is the number of basically workload is the number of requests a server, which could be application, web, or database, is handling at any given point of time. We can measure it in any duration like days, hours, or in some cases even in milliseconds. So it's a predefined workload that a system should be able to handle. How much we are expecting out of that system, that's what it is termed as expected workload.
I think, Nitish, there are quite a few tools that give this kind of information to us, right? I can recall there is Adobe Omniture and Google Analytics. I think these kind of tools give us the information about what is the expected workload, but just that they have to be running on your website for quite a long time, maybe.
So how the real time user is doing and how many users are logging in doing the stuff,
Mm.
performing transactions on your website, that we can get easily from such tools. And based on that, we can define our expected workload.
One more thing I wanted to add is, Nitish. So whenever I introduce myself to any of my relatives, right, when I go out or in social gatherings,
Mhm.
people usually ask me what I do for a living, and it's very difficult to explain what a performance engineer does. So
Exactly. We can always say we are a software engineer, but in that also we have so many fields, so many specializations that we need some proper definition to explain it to them.
yeah, so what I usually do is I give them an example of online sales. There's no one. I mean, if you are unless you are living under a rock, you definitely know about what online sales are. So I take the example of either Amazon or Flipkart sales. and tell them what is load from performance perspective. Like if let's say there is sale going on, I explain it to them in this way. Let's say you are trying to buy a phone from flipkart.com during sale, and when too many people are trying to do the same thing, that is what is our load, and what happens to the website and how it behaves under that kind of load. This is what I test before even the sale happens. So this is how I try to explain them to them about what I do.
Okay.
Do you have any similar experiences, Nitesh?
Yeah, definitely on the time, because this is the most common thing they can relate to.
Yeah.
It basically gives them an idea that because they have definitely faced something of that sort, either the website getting slow or crashed, or they have gone to, let's say, some ticket booking portal and seen that when the system starts taking booking for some particular day, it goes down or goes slow and their transactions did not go through. So they can relate to that situation and scenario and try to identify, or maybe know that what we are trying to, you know uh, resolve, or what we are trying to improve upon.
Yes. In a formal sense, if you have to define it a little more precisely, as part of, let's say, you're trying to explain what is performance testing to a manager, let's say, who has no idea of performance testing, how would you define, Nitish?
I will take the approach where I apply load through a load generation tool and measure the performance through resource utilization of application under test and key performance indicators such as throughput and response times. This is just a high level explanation.
So they would be more, technical. So I would prefer to take the technical way to explain it to them. Um they would be more interested in utilization of the infrastructure. So I try to put it across to them in that way. So Nitesh, now now that we have defined performance testing a little bit in terms of what it inculcates, do we have any different types of performance testing? As far as I mean, we have seen that performance testing is an umbrella term for different types of testing, right?
Right.
Can you enlighten us about uh, what different types of performance testing is there out there?
So there are basically three that are the basic performance tests. So these are load test, stress test, endurance test. So in the load test, basically we are taking the expected workload and hitting the application or the product with that load continuously for some duration time, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. It depends on your requirement. So, and you measure the key performance indicators like throughput, response time, and your application's resources, and try to identify whether your application is behaving as expected, or it is taking more time, or you need to work on some areas, resolve some issues, something like that. You try to identify through that test. In another test, that is endurance test, you basically try to identify whether your application take load on longer duration, like for some hours continuously without breaking out or without any slowness. So we generally do it for 5 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, or even in some cases I've seen it going on for a few days. It depends on the basically application, which domain it is in and what type of it is.
So even in the production, right? It's not that load comes only for 1 hour duration. Load is constantly coming onto the application, and that is where you need endurance test.
Right. For some like banking applications, there are fixed number of hours that they are working on. and let's say it is from 9 to 5 it is working, or 9 to 4 it is working, so continuously it has to work, the application has to work for longer duration and has to perform constantly, because we can't expect the application to go down or go slow when the users, your bank customers, are doing their transactions and they are getting some errors, or they are not able to, let's just send the money across to other users.
Yeah, that will.
That's a great business impact on
Yes.
your application.
Also, you end up frustrating your end user, so end user experience is hampered
Okay.
there.
So
So,
another third one was the third basic test was I was talking about was stress test.
mhm,
In that, basically you are just stressing out the application. You are testing the limits of the application where it could
break.
break down. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think these are the most common types of performance tests,
Right,
right?
right. So do you think, Mrinal, what else what are the other types of performance test?
So there are some specific types of tests like point load, uh, and there are some more specific types like canary testing. So I'll touch upon point load because it involves the example I gave earlier. So
Mm,
point load is when uh, a certain load comes onto your application really fast and goes away really fast.
like
If
a
I have to,
spike.
yeah, if I have
Okay.
to take an example, let's say there is a sale on a phone and they are going to open the sale sharp at 12 o'clock. So
Mm,
you will see that load is building up to 12 o'clock slowly, and at 12 o'clock sharp, you'll see a sudden spike. And as soon as uh, that spike goes up, it even comes down. So the
right,
duration of the load is very, very small, like say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So
right.
you will see if you plot the graph of load versus time, you will see a big spike. This is what is called as point load, and it is employed in mainly in e-commerce websites. So these are some of the common performance tests that we do.
Right.
Okay, so I think that was a fairly good discussion about
Yeah,
performance testing.
that was great. Yeah.
Uh, do you have anything to add, Nitish?
No, let's see. We can take up in another episode.
Yeah. Okay. Hope this episode added to your knowledge of performance testing, listeners. I hope by the end of this episode, you have a much clearer idea about what performance testing is. We hope to see you next time again. Keep tuned for the next episode. See you next time.
Bye, listeners.